Hey everyone, welcome back to my shop. Today I have a client that I'm going to be coloring her hair. We are going to be doing a root touch-up. She is a returning client. She has gray hair, her new growth, and we are doing like a chocolate brown, like a level 4, but I actually mix a level 3 and a level 5 together to make a 4, and I will explain kind of why I do that while I'm doing her hair in my voiceover. And then I'll show you kind of what I do like with the rest of the hair on the bottom and stuff to kind of make it all blend. And we also do the Olaplex, and I also will show you the products that I use. I'm gonna show you now, before I forget, what I used. It's a 10, it's the leave-in product, and if you read on it, it does all kinds of good stuff. And I use the Kenra Shine Spray. I use that just about with every single appointment. I am using Olaplex step 1 and 2. I'm using the Kenra Moisture Conditioner and the Kenra Moisture Shampoo. I do not just use Kenra products, but honestly, probably 80% of what the products that I do have are Kenra products, because I just like them so much, and I just end up using them, and I keep using them until I find something better, which I haven't. And I also use the Silking Gloss. I don't think I got some of these on camera actually using them, but sometimes I have to stop and pause while I'm doing stuff, moving the camera, and then I forget and I actually use it and I forget to start it again. So anyways, those are some of the products I use, and I think that's it. So if you want to see how I do it, then just stick around. So here's my client's before picture. We're going to be doing some gray coverage and just kind of an all over color, like a root touch-up. I am parting her hair in the 4-section part from the apex, the top of her head, down to her ear on each side. I am parting in the middle. You can kind of see the gray there on the side, kind of how what we're working with. Gray can be difficult to cover. It can be a little bit stubborn sometimes. Some people's hair, is a little bit worse than others. Her hair does pretty good. We don't have any problems. But I'm just putting it in that 4-section part. It's really important that you do the perimeter first when you are starting color. And as soon as I start painting, I'll explain kind of what I'm talking about. But there's the 4-section part to each of her ears. So I usually start in the back. Starting in the front, I'm also putting a little paper towel down because this stuff gets very messy and you don't want it to get on their clothes. It can seep through the cape. So I'm painting in between these sections. I'm getting the base around her head. I'm getting all the beginnings of the parts. This is really important because with gray, you've got to make sure that it is on the scalp when you are touching, like when you're putting complete color on the hair. It has to, cover the scalp because it has to get down in close to the root. Because if you don't, then you'll have some little spots left out. And I'm getting around her head. Around the forehead and the temples is usually the spots where the gray is really the most visible on the head, and that's the front of the face, so that's the front of the head, so that's what people see first. So that's a lot of people want to make sure that that's covered. So after I finish all around the section parts, I will start in the back like I was mentioning earlier. I start in the back and I do about 1/2-inch sections, painting going up the head, and that's a lot easier when you work from the back and you work from the bottom up, because when you paint it, you can lay it down. You don't have to move it and mess with it a lot and get it, move it around and get the color on people. You want to try to get as less as on the skin, not on the head, like around the face and around the ears. It's kind of impossible to not get it on anything. You just want to make sure that you get it off, or I want to make sure that I get it off because it will stain, especially this this color, the 4N, which, sorry, technically it is, like I said earlier, I mix equal parts of the 3N and the 5N. And the reason I do that is because a 4N is fine. It's just like, it's a dark brown. But I feel like sometimes it can be too cool. So like when we're talking about warm and cool tones are your purples, your blues, your greens, and I believe the undertone in a 4 is like probably a purplish blue. It kind of looks a little purple. So I want a little bit of warmth in there and I want a little bit of depth in there. So I mix a 5 and that puts a little bit more warmth in there. And that's just how I do it. It works for me. There may be other ways to do it. There may be other formulas, but that's just kind of what works for me. I feel like it puts you a little something extra in there that helps with coverage, but still looks natural. I feel like sometimes just the regular color cannot look as natural. And also you run into the problem a lot of times when you are doing root touch-ups, and a lot of people will put it all over the head, like start at the tip and pull it all the way down. And I don't do that because color does not lift color. And when you're depositing dark color over dark color over dark color, if I did that every time she came and I started from the top and pulled it all the way down to her ends, it is going to, the bottom or the mid shaft down is going to get darker each and every time. So the top part is going to be, her new growth, some of her gray and some of her brown, and then the rest of it is going to be almost black because you just keep layering that color over it. So I don't do that. I do the root touch-up, and then as soon as I get finished with the top part, I will show you what I do. So this is what I do. I take a wide tooth comb and I start pulling that color down. After it's sat for probably about 15 minutes, I let it sit on the top because you want to get some good processing time in there for the roots, so that we'll color those spots, the gray and to make everything else blend. So I am combing everything out and just distributing the product down a little bit further. I started at 1.5 inches to about 2, and then I've pulled it down to where it's about 6 or 7 inches through the hair. And I just keep working. I'm lifting up and letting some air get through the strands, the colored strands, because they have to oxidize and it has to have oxygen to help it process. And here is the finished with the second section. And then once that is processed for about 10 minutes, then I pull it down to the ends. It doesn't stay on the ends very long. It's just a little bit of a touch-up just to kind of make everything blend. We don't want it to color it too much, just a little bit to where everything goes together. And now I'm just combing everything out, just making sure that I didn't miss any spots and everything is really good and saturated, and she's ready to rinse. So now we have to make sure that all of the color is rinsed out. I'm just using water and making sure that all of the color is rinsed out before we put step 1 on. I don't know if Olaplex can lift some of the color off if it's not completely rinsed out, but I don't want to find out. So I always just make sure everything is good and cleaned out. So here is step 1, and like I've said before in my other videos, it is just a really thin solution that you mix with water. You put that all over the hair. I usually, put it on the top and then just focus pulling it down to the ends of the hair, because the ends of the hair is usually where the most damage lies. And then I get step 2, which is the creamy consistency like a conditioner. And I just run that through, make sure it's all covered really well. And then I will put a shampoo cap on her, and she will process. I usually let them sit there for about 15 to 20 minutes if they've had a color service. If they haven't and they have a little bit more time, then I will usually do up to 30 minutes letting them process. You don't need heat, so I just let them sit. And now I I am shampooing, so I'm going to make sure I get all of that out, all of that step 1 and 2, because it can leave like a build-up-y look in the hair, like it's not clean. So I will this is another way you can still see a little bit of the color once I am shampooing out, like on the lathered part. You can see some of the color is still in there, so you want to make sure you get all that out, all around the neck, all around the ears and stuff. A lot of color tries to kind of hide there, and you don't want them leaving with color on their face, because a lot of times people have places that they're going when they get their hair done. So I try to make sure that I get all of it out. This is actually our first time using Olaplex on her hair, because she's had a little bit of dryness. So we are starting with this regimen. So we're going to start doing this when she gets her root touch-up. Olaplex is going to work slowly. It's going to build from the inside out. So you usually don't see results until the second or third time, depending on how damaged your hair is. If your hair is pretty damaged, it's going to take some time to see the results. But usually if there's not a lot of damage and it's just kind of dryness, it's usually about the second or third appointment that you can really tell results. You can tell some results from the first time, some shine, but just actually really noticing major changes is going to take 2 to 3 times to see it working. So now is the time when I'm going to rinse everything out and make sure that all the color is gone and that everything is nice and clean, because you don't want to get back to the chair and still have some color in there and then have to come back and get their head wet again and have to wash it again. So it's just important that you make sure that all the color is out, especially with a dark color like the 4N that we made today. So now I am getting ready for the cut. I used It's a 10 on her hair. It's a 10 is a really good leave-in product. It does lots of stuff. It detangles, and it has a heat protectant in there. I still use another heat protectant, and she actually has, my clients always have to tell me where they part their hair. I don't care if they come in and I've done their hair a million times. I never can remember where people part their hair. I just can't remember. I don't know why. But it's on the side. Apparently, I thought it was in the middle, but it's on the side. So she's getting a little bit cut off than usual, because it had been a couple months since she'd been back. I don't think we had done anything since like the school had started. We'd done her hair in the summer. So I'm just making sure that I get everything nice and detangled. And my chair, her hair was a little bit long, and my chair sits up high, so I just have people sit up or arch their back and sit up straight and tilt their head down. And she doesn't get any layers, so I'm just doing a regular one length cut all around. And sometimes those can be a little bit difficult because there are really no layers, so you want to make sure that everything is really that you don't have any little pieces hanging out. And especially darker hair is less forgiving, because you can also see it really well on shirts and stuff. If people wear their hair straight, it can be difficult, to make sure that you get it, all one length, and you don't have any pieces that are longer than the other. So I once again had to part. I always part, even if they part on the side, I part it in the middle, because if you cut it with their hair parted on the side, then if somehow one day they decide to flip their hair over, you're going to have one side longer on the other. So I always part it in the middle, cut it on both sides, and then put it back to where they usually part it. And I'm working around the shoulder here, and that's something that you also have to be careful of, is the shoulder you can cut it too short, and then they pull it around front and their face, and it's really short. So I always cut it to the side first, then I pull it around the front and cut it, so that way I know exactly how long it's going to be. And if it needs to be cut off, you can always cut more off, you just can't put it back. So I have got her to flip her head over, and we are blow drying it with it down. And this is kind of an old trick. It's people have done it for years and years, and it just gives you more volume. If you blow dry it with your head over it, it really does work. And just it helps it to not just lay on the scalp, and it gives you a little bit more body. So we're just drying everything. It looks really good. The color, everything's real nice and even. It's a beautiful chocolate brown color, not too cool but not too warm, a nice neutral color. And she just wants to wear it straightened, so we're going to straighten it, which when I do a one length cut, I really like to straighten it, because then you can get an even better like precise haircut. Because when it's straight, then you can go back over it and see if there's any spots you missed or anything. So she had a little bit of wetness underneath, and there I'm spraying the shine spray, and I believe it protects up to 420, maybe somewhere through there, 420, 430, somewhere through there. Like I said, the It's a 10 has thermal protectant spray, but I always do an extra one, and it puts some really nice shine in the hair. I don't just use all Kenra products. I do use a lot of them, but I use other things as well. I just try different stuff, and I usually try it on myself first and then see if I like it, and then if I do, then I'll take it to the shop. So I'm just going through the hair. There are no kind of wavy pieces. Everything's nice and straight. You can see the shine in there really, really well. I think the shine spray plus the Olaplex treatment has really helped too. And she got a good amount cut off. She probably got about 3 or 4 inches cut off, and that really, it helped with thickness as well. You could also feel the difference in her hair, how thick it felt after just getting it trimmed. So I'm just finishing up this, and I will show you the end result. I also go in and put just a little bit of tease in there. I didn't put too much, just a little bit, just to give her a little bit more lift on top. And just working around. I've got some color on my smock as well.
I had done a highlight earlier that day, so that's left over from that. I also make her tilt her head down when I'm doing the finishing touches.
So that way when she looks down, she's not going to have any big, long, scraggly pieces of hair underneath. And I do that around her shoulder and around the sides as well. Now I'm just doing all my little finishing touches, making sure that all of the pieces are the same length, moving the hair around, moving around her face. How does it lay when I'm looking at it? How does it lay front ways? How does it lay in the back? I'm going to turn her around to each side, face it in the front, because that's the first thing people do when they get done with their hair, is they pull it in the front and they look at it. So you want to make sure all sides are even and there's no little pieces hanging out, and they're the same length on each side. And there is her finished root touch-up. Everything looks really good. It's nice and shiny
and healthy. It's a beautiful chocolate brown, a beautiful color for the fall and the cooler weather.
Okay everybody, so we are finished today. I have got some color on me and on my fingers. It's color, it's not dirt, I promise. I am going to go home and wash it off, but first I have to clean up my station, clean up all of my utensils. Thank you everyone that has subscribed. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if this was helpful or you enjoyed watching, and let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or comments, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.